No one tells you after graduation that the hardest part is not getting a job. It is the unstructured time. So if you just graduated, you're about to graduate, you're looking at this a couple months before graduation, let's talk about it and let's get right into the video. Number one, the identity shift. This is a shifting your mindset from achievement-based validation, getting the A in the project, getting the highest, number you could on the exam, all the grades and deadlines. It's changing that mindset to I'm out in the real world mindset now, whatever you decided to do. It is now going to be the most self-directed structure you're going to have to create in order to truly see success in your life, because no one is telling you what to do. You can decide not to do anything for the next month, but I promise you are going to see the results of that. So we're going to talk about how to stay away from it. Lack of structure will feel like anxiety if you do not create a system before you graduate. So when I graduated, it was weird because it was COVID. Like, that'll give you a sense of kind of where I'm at. I personally had already gotten used to working online because that's how I finished out my senior year of college. And I immediately got a job from someone I was working with at the time as a social media manager, and that's all online. And so I was like, great, I can just do this and be in my room and call it a day and make YouTube videos. And it was the dream for a little bit. But when I wasn't getting paid, I asked myself, like, why do I keep just Netflix work? Like, I just didn't feel like I was doing anything impactful with my life. And as humans, we're naturally going to want the purpose of our life to be impactful and to be really helpful to others and to ourselves. So before you graduate, it's important to ask yourself, how do you want the rest of the year to look? Because a lot of you will graduate in May or June, typically. That is the typical structure in the US, if you're on like a regular college thing or whatever. So if you already have a job lined up, great. What does that summer before then look like? If you even have a summer, some of you go straight into it. Some of you have an internship that you're finishing out on that will propel you for the next thing. Some of y'all are going to take a gap year, or the rest of the year is a gap. And you need to ask yourself, in whatever decision I make, what is it that I actually want to achieve before the next year? It can be January 1st. It can be literally a year from now. Everyone's situation is different. So you can't base it off of one structured framework. But what you can do is get really, really granular about, this is what I'd like to see. I'm okay if I don't see this happen as long as I fill in the blank here. And then ask yourself, what are the things that I'm going to do weekly that get me closer to that goal? So if you want to take a gap year, or you plan to take a gap year, are you getting extra money by, door dashing so you can save up for that opportunity? Or if you are beginning more school for becoming a dentist or a doctor or an actor, like, what are you doing? What classes, what study material do you need to already prep for and prepare for? We only feel anxious when we feel less prepared. So if we know what to do before then, it'll be like flying colors, seriously. And then maybe you are just going into the traditional 9-to-5, which is kind of what I did after my social media situation happened and fizzled out. It got to a point where I was like, this isn't structured. Then you deal with the whole fact that when you do work remote, in some jobs that are great, some of them don't come with benefits. That was my first job as well. I didn't have health insurance. Now, thank God I didn't need to, because I was still on a plan through my parents. So if you have that same setup, talk with them, talk with your guardian, whoever is in charge of you, if you have that opportunity right now, and see how long you can be on their plan. Honestly, it saved so much time and money. I'm not even kidding. I highly recommend that if you have the opportunity is to stay on whatever your parents are willing to keep you on for the next however many. But in that, don't be a freeloader. Truly save money. I am someone who finances has always been one of my favorite hobbies. I've loved learning about it. I love financial literacy. And ever since I was 16, I have truly just always wanted to understand how money works, how to save well, how to properly invest, whether you are truly investing into stocks or you are investing into your personal life. Whatever it is, you need to make sure that you have a system for it so that you don't feel like, oh my gosh, like life is just closing in on me. It only feels that way when you don't prep. So start here in the identity shift. Number 2, weekly framework. What does your work block look like? So some of you are going to have different occupations, and that's fine. But I highly recommend whatever you do, work in time blocking. Time blocking is not when you're like at 8 a.m. I'm going to do this at 9 a.m. I'm going to do this 9:30. No, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. you are going to be working on this general set of work. So that can look like I'm going to be doing admin work. I'm reaching out, responding to emails. This is the time where people know I'm going to hear from them during the hours of 8 and 12 p.m. because that is the system that you've created. Then after that, hour lunch, do your thing, eat, have fun, take a break, decompress. Then give yourselves 15 more minutes of buffer time to get to your next meeting, to get to the next place, to drive across town. Don't schedule things back to back to back to back to back. Give yourself at least 15 to 30 minutes for travel. Give yourself at least 15 to 30 minutes just to pee and poop. Give yourself 15 to 30 minutes to make the food or pick it up or plan for anything unexpected. When you say, I'm gonna be here at 2:30 and your last thing ended at 2:25, I promise you, you're not gonna be there at 2:30 unless it's literally right next door. So give yourself that room to breathe. Don't tell yourself I have to be so strict and on pace because like you're coming out of that season in school where you're walking from your next class or right across campus or whatever. Give yourself time to create a structure that is still in alignment with your nervous system. Next is a health block. You have to create movement. If you're someone that you know you're gonna be at a desk for 10 to 12 hours a day, maybe you're coding, maybe you are editing, whatever it is, get a walking pad. If you're not familiar, it is a small little treadmill. It's probably about yay big. And what you get to do is you get to walk slowly so that your body and your hips still get movement. If you get a chance, get a standing desk. I have 3 of them. One at work, one in my office, one at my boyfriend's place. I need to be able to stand up and stretch my legs because sitting is the new disease. Truly, if you sit too long, your body is gonna get used to that and not in the best way. You have to get up and do movement, but at least at the very least, every 45 minutes, get up and just do some laps around your office. Go outside, get some fresh air for 5 minutes. Anything you can do to get some movement going, do it. Groceries, it's so easy to eat whatever you want. You don't wanna gain the post-college 15. I know they talk about the freshman 15 because you're eating all this stuff in the dining hall and they can make you whatever, but post-college weight is real. And so you really need to think on my busier days when I start getting an understanding of my schedule, which you won't know for the first at least a month, how things are gonna go for you. For me, I know at lunch, it's gonna be probably one of my harder ones where I don't spend the most money because maybe I'm with some coworkers I love spending and eating lunch with, but on days where I need to be really disciplined, I'm gonna go to the Whole Foods, I'm gonna get some yogurt, I'm gonna get an apple and some peanut butter, and we're gonna call it a day. A meal doesn't have to be a 3-course meal 3 times a day. A meal is something that keeps you going because half the time when I first started my 9 to 5, I was just like eating whatever was around, which was great and it was filling, and I was sleepy by an hour later. I got none of my work done. And so you have to think about how productive will I be after I eat in this new workflow I'm trying to get in. At the end of the day, meal prepping is always going to save you, and creating simple, easy things to eat, repeatable, that itself is going to keep you on track. Eggs and mushrooms are like my go-to. Yogurt is my go-to. I love oatmeals and some fruit. I just love things that take me less than 5 minutes to eat or make. For lunch, splurge a little bit. That's fine. If that's where you want your meal to be, that's fine. For me, I know that I'm gonna probably almost always eat a heavy carb meal during lunch, so it gives my body enough time to digest it before going to bed. And then I'm gonna prioritize a lot of protein and fiber at the end of the day. But that's just what works for me. You can find what works for you. Number 3 are your non-negotiables. And I talked about this in the last video, but it's important that you keep this non-negotiable of responding and not reacting. When you respond to things, you give time for your brain to be like, okay, I don't like what was just said. Why don't I like it? All right, got it. What can I say that would not make the situation worse? And then don't make the situation worse. It's something that I have consistently, and still to this day, consistently try to get myself out of reacting. The opposite of responding is reacting. And so someone says something to you, you're like, why would you say that? Or like, what do you mean? Like, stop. Think for a second what they might mean. And if it is a backhanded compliment, anything backhanded is not a compliment. If it's something that's crazy and you're like, why would they even say that? If it's something from someone that you know, they're up to no good, they're just trouble, they're trying to get a reaction, think to yourself, how do I need to prepare myself to handle talking to this person, these groups of people, this project I'm a part of? Like, you have to do the inner work and figure out, when this happens, I know I have this much time I can dedicate to it, or I know I'm gonna do this ahead of time to spend less time here. You're gonna work with people you don't like. That's the post-college truth. And honestly, you probably learned that in college. It's like that still in the real world. Give yourself enough time to understand the environment around you, and then decide you're gonna respond more than you're gonna react. Next, I talked already about daily movement. If you needed an even deeper explanation, 10,000 steps a day is gonna keep you really good. If you do nothing else but walk 10,000 steps a day, you're good. That's why the walking pad near your desk is easy. You get the steps without thinking about it, and then maybe you have a separate morning or evening workout where you're like, 30 minutes is gonna get me my other 5,000 the steps. Break it up. Don't make it hard for yourself. And eliminate forest fires. I talked about this figuratively. Forest fires are anything that you're responding to quickly. So it kind of goes in tandem with respond, not react. But if someone is like, we need you to do this, and you're like, okay, I'll do it, but you know that you're too busy to actually do it, give yourself just a second to think about asking the right questions. Half the time I feel like we get so upset because we do not ask further follow-up questions. That was me for a really long time. And I want to save you from all of that heartache, all of those little, because you just start reacting about everything in life and it gets really exhausting to a degree. Say, for example, you have two really big projects on your plate at work or at school or whatever, and someone throws another thing on your plate. Your first question is, when do you need this? Your next question is, am I the only person that can do this work? Delegate. Figure out who else can do it. Figure out who can start it so you can finish it. Figure out when you can start it and someone else finishes it. Ask follow-up questions. It's not just whatever someone tells you is what it is. They say jump, you say how high. No, I promise you, you got to learn how to negotiate in the real world too. And I learned this a lot, like specifically through just like my own business. I have a video production company where it's really helped me in my actual career. And it's really helped me just understand, look, everybody ain't as truthful and honest as they like to be. But you learn that through the lessons. So if you can hear it first so you can avoid it later, by all means, that's the goal. So remember, through it all, eliminating small forest fires in your responses means asking follow-up questions. That's the formula. Number 4, stop doing these things. These things are saying yes automatically. Don't say yes until you really thought through things. For example, someone could say, can we count on you to do this weekend? And it may not even be work related. This could be family related. This could be like super inconveniencing you because it's on the other side of town, but you got to be on the other side of town all weekend. Be like, I can get back to you. When do you need to know? Again, following the last point, follow-up questions are gonna save you half the stress most of the time. Scrolling before bed. I promise you, get that blue light out of your face. And at the end of the day, if you do have to scroll, get some red light glasses, or literally there's a section on iPhones. I don't know if it's on other devices, but on iPhones, they have this option where you can put literal red light. So it blocks the blue light after a certain hour. I have it. I love it. I use it all the time. And it has truly actually helped my eyesight. I just don't think blue light after a certain hour is necessary. You really need to work on like resting and truly putting your body in a space of like, all right, when I'm in this environment at this hour, my body needs to start thinking about decompressing, not feeling like I'm still on high alert from the blue light from my laptop or the TV or my phone. Spending emotionally. This is literally and figuratively. Don't emotionally overspend yourself through questions you don't have answers to yet. It's like paying rent twice. You're worrying about something that you don't know yet. It will get resolved or it will come at a later date. There's always a solution to something. There is, but you have to keep your cool in the midst of it. And then literally spending emotionally. When you're stressed, you got to find healthy ways to cope. I take this very seriously. I think it is so easy when you get into a new season of your life that you can run to things that aren't good for you. That can be substances, that can be alcohol, that can be gossip, that can be sex. Like, don't do those things. That is not adding to your quality of life. You have free will to do whatever you want. But if you stayed until this long in the video, you definitely want to see something different with yourself, and that's okay. You can be the version of yourself that you believe you can be, but you have to daily take the steps to not continue feeding the old habit of yourself. Listen to what I'm about to say. Everything is based off of how you feed yourself. The health problems people have, they keep feeding it. They keep feeding it the processed sugars. They keep feeding it the ultra processed meats and foods and all that. That's why you're feeding the disease. You keep feeding into people's gossip about you. That's not true. The only reason why you get upset is because you might slightly agree with them. Stop agreeing with them. It doesn't matter. You might be feeding into the narrative that people are creating at work. These people you spend maybe 8 hours a day with, yes, it's a lot, 40 hours a week. But think about the people that actually matter. Think about the things you actually want to do. Expend that energy. And then don't go shopping. Girlies, listen, I don't really have this problem, but I know people in my life that do, and I love them very much. But do not waste your money because emotionally you feel like, I need therapy shopping. I need therapy boba or matcha. I need therapy this, therapy that. No, it's literally putting yourself into a financial stress, and it's creating an unhealthy boundary and habit for your money and the financial future for yourself, your family, and your kids. Cut it. And lastly, number 5, what I'm still figuring out. This can also apply to you, and at some point, if you haven't already gone through it, you will. So it's just something to be prepared for. Like I said, anxiety is only coming from things that you're not prepped for. And sometimes life isn't going to happen in a way that you can plan for it, but it is important that if you can know it's coming, you can know how you can respond to it. Career direction, you're at some point going to feel like, am I in the right place? Did I do the right thing? Did I study the right thing? Did I graduate with the right thing? You can always make a different choice. Plain and simple. You can always decide, I saved up money for a year, I'm traveling the world. You can always decide, I actually do want to go to law school. I know I'm 34 or I'm 41 or I'm 26. You can always go. Faith is a big part of my life, not just adulthood, but I promise you, the more that you make decisions and the more that your decisions are solely based on you, not your parents telling you to do this, not your professors telling you to do that, Jesus is the only reason that I have been sane. He has truly brought me through things I never thought I'd make it through. And for you, you might have had some really tough coming ups, some tough people in your life, some tough people that truly didn't believe in you, that made you not believe in yourself. Jesus consistently confirms and reaffirms through his word, through sermons, through church, through people, through vessels, people I would have never thought would say things that I had conversations in private with myself, with him about. It completely changes the way that you start viewing your life, and you truly start to look at your life like, wow, I am actually really grateful that this happened, because otherwise this could have happened later in life where it would have mattered probably even more. And I'm just in a season now, this is, you talking to yourself. You're in a season now where I've been through this, I've seen this, I know how to handle this. So don't be upset about how life is happening, because it's not happening to you. It truly is happening for you. Whatever you learn through the process is always the goal. So that was a mouthful, I know, but it is important that you think about this well before you can. And even if you're seeing this months after you graduated, years after you graduated even, and you just truly want to reset and restart your life, rebranding your life can happen at any hour of the day. The fact that you stayed until this long of the video means that you actually want to do it. So first of all, kudos to you for even doing the research, even if it's in a form of a YouTube video. Go find some articles, go journal how you feel, like figure out what you want to do next after you start consuming all this content. Because at a point, you turn off the videos and you put down the pencil and you think about, what action do I need to take next? That's what these videos are here to set you up for. So if you did stay until this long in the video, leave this emoji so I know that you're a real one, and lock in, because now is always better than later. So I'll see y'all on the next episode of Party of One Podcast. Peace.